if you had to isolate one thing that you did well that allowed you to keep the culture and the passion of the startup, what would you say that one thing would be?
So I don't think there's one silver bullet, but if I were to name one thing, I would say it's setting a very clear culture since day zero. It's almost like the first thing that happens. I basically had two decks. I had the pitch to raise money, and I had the culture deck. They both were created in parallel. And it was a bit different because sometimes you see companies that do this a year after, 2 years after, 3 years after. So you hear, "Oh, I'm too busy to think about culture. When we grow and become profitable, then I'll worry about that." And I think that's wrong. I think this is the most important thing that you can be doing, and you need to be building that since the very beginning, because that's the driving force of almost every single thing that you're going to do. Sometimes I compare it with the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the United States has a set of values in that Constitution that was done over 200 years ago. And even today, a lot of the US value system and cultural system goes back to that document that was over 200 years ago. And when somebody asks you what the culture of the US, you can go back to a lot of those values and say, you're talking about a country of 330 million people. Same thing happened to startup. And what we did was we had a culture deck, which was or constitution. And it was the values, what we stood for. We're not here to build a better credit card. We're not here to just run another bank. Like that's big, but that was actually not exciting enough. We wanted to be building something for decades. And so it is a document that establishes very long-term goals. It talks about the values that we operate, having customer obsession as number one. And once there was clarity, that allowed us to hire the right type of folks, so attract the right type of people. And we use those values as a filter in the interview process. It helped us build the right type of product because ultimately the product, the app, is a reflection of those cultural values. The way we talk to customers and we respond to customers is actually a reflection of those cultural values. Sometimes I even go to the extreme and I say customers don't buy our products, they buy our values. What they hear in that call, what they see in that app, what they read in that email, is the translation of a set of beliefs about a company. And so you need to have integrity across everything that you do. And having that clarity at the very, very beginning is very helpful in then going to do anything you do. Build a product, scale, hire 100 people, hire 1,000 people, hire 5,000 people. So I would say that's the most important thing that we do, getting that clarity in the first 3 months of life with the first 10 employees. But then there's a lot of different things that you can do to keep that culture alive. And it really is a bunch of small little routines. And it has to do a lot with hiring the right type of people. It has to do a lot with letting go the wrong type of people. It has to do with the way you do performance management. It has to do with, ultimately with making sure that those are true, alive values, that almost every decision that you do as a company is consistent with those values. And the fastest way to lose that culture is for the founders, for the executive team, to do things differently than what those values are supposed to defend. So it's all about like consistency and integrity of a lot of those cultural values.